Hello, I'm Michelle, and today I'm welcoming you back to what is part 3 of building biblical friendships. So far, we've looked at what is a good biblical foundation to build your friendships on. We've also looked at the impact of your personality and your character on your friendships. Today, I want us to focus on what we do when friendships go wrong and the different things we need to consider when friendships become difficult. Personally, I found friendships really difficult. A friendship will be going along really well, and then all of a sudden things just seem to go wrong and everything is not as good as what it used to be. In those situations can be very painful, and you can question what is wrong with me that this friendship is not working. You can also question whether it is safe for your heart to be invested in a relationship, and very often you'd make a decision not to engage in friendship because it just hurts too much. The first situation I want to look at today is when people just don't seem to be wanting to spend time around you or avoiding you, but there doesn't seem to be any problem in the relationship, and you can't recall that you did anything wrong that would cause them not to want to spend time with you, yet from what you've picked up, they definitely have a sense of not wanting to be around you. Here's the principle. Any relationship will not flourish if there's too much time of togetherness. There has to be seasons of togetherness and seasons of separation in any healthy friendship. How do we recognize when someone needs that time of separation? How do we recognize, because they don't necessarily say to us, I need space. So what I want to share with you today is an idea that I call the Porcupine Factor. So here's how Porcupine Factor works. Two little porcupines get together, they really love and adore each other, and so they cuddle together and they cuddle closer and closer, and they love being together and they enjoy each other's company. But after a while, the little pricklies start pricking each other and they start feeling prickly, and so these two porcupines move further away from each other, but they still love and adore each other, but they just need that space again until they get to that point where, oh yes, they actually just want to be close together, and then they'll start moving closer together. And that in a way shows us that in any relationship there will be times of closeness and separation, but there is this prickly factor that comes along. The problem with Porcupine Factor is that we often misinterpret it. We think that just because somebody needs some space, they either don't like us, and then we end the relationship, we unnecessarily make confrontation a big issue in the relationship, or even we just reject the relationship completely. What to do when your friend has got Porcupine Factor? The first thing to do is be understanding. Understand that just because they have a need for space doesn't mean you will necessarily have a need for space. Be understanding that for them it might be more frequent that they need space than perhaps for you. Be understanding when people need space. Number 2, don't cling. Don't try and hold so desperately onto the friendship and make things, say messages like, why haven't I heard from you? And, oh, hello stranger, haven't heard from you for a while. When all they've really wanted is to have space. You don't have to necessarily then actually respond in an unkind way when all they've done is taken a break in the relationship. If your friend has got Porcupine Factor, perhaps also it's time for you to start investing in other relationships, because if you are so desperate to hold on to that one person, and when they need that space it generates anxiety and stress inside of you, then it's a good indicator for you that you need to work on some of your other friendships and spend more time working and building into those relationships. Now, what to do if you've got Porcupine Factor and there is someone in your life that you just need a little bit of space from, okay? First of all, watch your words and your actions. Just because you need space, there's no need to be nasty or unkind or do anything that would damage the friendship in any way. Be clear about the fact that you love them and appreciate them and care for them, and just tell them that you just need a little bit of space, but it doesn't change anything about your friendship. It's important when you have Porcupine Factor to still be loving and kind, not to exclude them, not to ignore them, not to make them feel isolated because suddenly you're not interested in spending time with them. But the good thing to do is that in a love relationship with someone in friendship, love bears all things, and you need to be considerate and caring to the people around you while you need that personal space. You needing personal space is also not an excuse to avoid conflict or dealing with problems in the relationship. very often what we may do is, in order not to have that honest conversation with a friend about something that's going on between the two of you, you suddenly just want space. And it is actually a subconscious way to avoid conflict. So when you find yourself wanting porcupine factor, there has to be some looking inside of your heart to ask yourself, am I actually avoiding an issue here? Or is actually everything is good between the two of us? I just need a little bit of space because I want to spend more time by myself, or I want to pursue a few other friendships but not lose this friendship, or I just want to explore some different parts of my character and personality. Whatever happens, porcupine factor is not an excuse to hurt someone. So what happens in porcupine factor is that one of the fears that becomes big in our hearts is what happens if that person doesn't want to come back into the friendship after I've given them some space. And that is a reality. The bottom line is if that person is that important to you that you can't allow them to have space, then you need to be able to work on your other friendships so that when people go into seasons of space, it doesn't feel like a crisis for you. What's also important is to remember that porcupines have different lengths of quills. And so for some porcupines, their quills are longer and they need a little bit more space than porcupines with short little quills. For example, an extrovert won't have very long quills, whereas an introvert will have longer quills. So you've got to give people that time that is necessary for them. But at the end of the day, in any healthy friendship, when the time for space is over, they will come back into the friendship. Another reason why friendships can take strain is that people just drift away, either physically or emotionally. Physically, when they move to a different part of town or move to another country, that is a physical separation that with the distance will have people move away from you. The other one is emotionally. Sometimes people just drift away from you emotionally, and what was once a good friendship is not as good as what it used to be just because you guys are not as close as what you used to be. When people move away, it can be really difficult for us emotionally. And what happens, it affects our hearts, and sometimes we are reluctant to move into a new relationship, or even in our existing relationships, we start waiting for people to drift away because we think that it's something wrong with us and people don't want to be with us. And we may not be prepared to take the risk and invest in a relationship either. When the friend drifts away, we go through a series of questions that we ask ourselves. First, we ask ourselves, what did I do wrong? Is there something that would have caused them to drift away from me? And then when we realize they're not so close anymore, we ask ourselves, what could I have done differently? Should I have approached the friendship differently? Should I have done this? Should she have done that? What should I have done differently? And then you go through a season where you make some special effort to revive the friendship. You will try and do some special things together or spend more time together. And then when that doesn't work, you go through a season of confronting them and saying, what did I do wrong? Why isn't the relationship not working and everything? But whatever happens at the end of it, the relationship's just not the same. How do you process that emotionally when someone just drifts away from you and you yourself cannot figure out why or what the reason is? When people move away or drift away from you, one of the first things you need to remember is that people are not joined to you. You cannot make people stay. You cannot make people stay in your life and be a part of your life and take part in what you are doing. You cannot force someone to be your friend. You cannot force them into a relationship with you. Now's the time to develop the gift of goodbye. Goodbye. Thank you for who you've been in my life. I've really enjoyed our times together. We've made good memories, but goodbye. Because you see, people are part of your life story, and they come into your life story and they play a role in your life, and they are a character in your life, but they are not your life. And perhaps when somebody moves from our lives, it's because they're not part of your story, because you have a new story coming, because our lives are progressing and journeying all the time. And perhaps this person is not part of the next part or the next chapter of your story. I went through a time where a lot of my friends seem to be moving to other towns or moving to other countries or just drifting away, not making contact as much as they would, and not being as keen to spend time together with me. And at that time I went to the Lord and asked him, Lord, why are so many people leaving my life? Why am I having to practice the gift of goodbye so much? And so what the Lord said to me was to have an open hand with friendships. So what he said is, do you believe that I control your life, that your whole life is in the palm of my hand, and that everything that happens in your life I am controlling? Yes, I said. Then the Lord said, do you believe that I can bring people into your life to build into your life, that there will be people that you've never met before, and just through circumstances they will come into your life and they will make a positive contribution to your life. They will bring good memories. They will make you the person that you are. And the answer is yes, Lord, I believe that. And he says, and do you believe that I can take those people out and bring new people into your life all the time? Yes, that's a bit more understandable. But what he said to me was, if I hold on to those friendships, if I don't have an open hand in friendships and try and hold on to the friendships that I already have, he cannot bring new people into my life because I'm holding so tightly to what I already have. He has to have me have my hand open so that new people can come in and they can become part of the new person I'm going to be. Because scripture says that God is always doing a new thing. And if people leave your life, you have to get that gift of letting them go and saying goodbye, because you need to turn around and look at who God is bringing new into your life. And so over the years, it's taken me time to adjust and to have that sense of, yes, people come into my life and they come for a season, and when they go, I don't have to get anxious because I know that God has got something new planned. And it's been very exciting over the years to be able to sit and look to see who God is going to bring into my life and what wealth and riches they are going to contribute, because God has got wonderful, wonderful plans planned for us. Now, there are some friendships that really make you sweat to keep them. And I have to be really honest, if it takes that much work to hold on to a friendship, why are you even trying? The point is that friendship is something that you work on, but both people have to be part of it. And if you're doing all the work, if you're putting all the effort in, and that person doesn't want to be friends and they're just moving on, well, then let it go. Because if it takes too much sweat to keep it, it's not meant to be yours. I hope you've benefited from today. Today we covered what to do when a friend wants some space, or do you want some space in a friendship? And what we also covered is what to do when people move away from you physically or emotionally in a friendship. I hope that you have enjoyed it and have benefited from it. Why don't you like it and subscribe to the channel? And what's more, join us on hearttreasure.net for more information and blog posts about how to live our walk with the Lord. Hope to see you again soon from my side. Love you lots. Bye.